Hey fam, can we talk about the broken pride of a black woman? And I can talk about this topic because I am a black woman. Maybe I shouldn't say I'm black because this is black. I'm a brown woman. Let's talk about it. Let me get serious. A lot of people think and say that black women have a bad attitude, we're too feisty, we're too mouthy, we're argumentative, we're the B word, and we run around here calling ourselves a bad boss, BITCH. Don't call yourself that. Stop it. It's a spirit that comes along with that. Let's talk about why. I can tell you why I had grown a tough skin in my life. From the time I was a little girl, I've experienced and saw things that automatically make me put my guard up and learn to protect and defend myself. When you're a young lady, there's a lot going against you, especially in poorer communities where they like to call ghettos or whatever. I grew up in a poor community, a ghetto, in the projects in Brooklyn, right? And I saw a lot of stuff that would tend to make you lean toward the tough side. When I was growing up, the heroin epidemic was great. A lot of people were on heroin. And so when you were out, you would see people nodding, looking scary. And drinking was a major thing. Liquor stores in the black community are all over the place. So you got a lot of drunk men on the corner. So when you have a mom, right, who has experienced a lot of stuff, she's going to teach you how to protect yourself. And once she teaches you these things are going to toughen you up. You don't have a chance or a choice to be sweet and innocent. You're introduced to the bad things that are happening to the world very early because you actually experienced it, because you were molested or whatever, or you see violence in your home, or your mom has to tell you certain things so that she can warn you and teach you how to protect yourself. And so these are all the ingredients of toughness, if you ask me. And then to top it off, if you had a dad in the house, he may have been addicted at the time or to liquor or heroin or maybe both. And so he's not there really to protect you because he's inebriated or high all the time. So when you learn survival skills because you're in the street, going to and fro, and you're seeing all these things and people are calling at you, the men on the street are calling at you, you have no men to protect and defend you. Most of the men that you come across are perverts. They're looking at you as if you're a delicious treat, a peach or something. And so when you have all of these things against you when you're very young, how do you expect a woman to be? I don't know what any other culture of women are experiencing. I do know that all women have been molested, raped, and mistreated. But for whatever reason, we are the ones that are considered an attitude, blah, 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 because of the way we carry ourselves to protect ourselves and our children. We're the ones that are looked at in a bad light. And it's unfair. And I also see it. I understand because I too could have said, man, her attitude sucks, because we could be very nasty when it's not called for. But I know what leads to it. And so I'm making this video because I want people to be a little more understanding of why a lot of us have an attitude and some of us don't know how to control it. The attitude is toward everybody, mad at the world type thing. Then we grow up, right? And, sometimes you're a teenager, you start having sex. You get your first heartbreak, and as you continue on in life, you get brokenhearted. You might get pregnant and the man leaves and then you're stuck with this baby. I'm saying stuck. Your baby is glued to your hip. After you had a child, that's it for you, baby. It's yours. Right? And so now you have to fend for yourself and take care of a child. That's enough to make anybody bitter and angry and have less of a positive outlook on life, because raising children is not for the faint of heart. It ain't a joke. And so to have to do that alone, it's not fun. So it can change you. You might have been a sweet, fun-loving person, but now you have big girl issues going on that demands that you get serious sometimes. And you might be sad because you're struggling. It's a lot. And so now you don't have that man in the house to protect and provide. Now you got to figure out how you going to provide, what job you're going to get, who's going to keep your child. That's a lot on a black woman's shoulder. And I'm not saying black women are the only ones who go through this, but we go through a lot of stuff, a lot of mistreatments, and we also make poor choices that create issues in our lives as well. We cannot ignore that part. And that's why I do these videos. I'm trying to get us to get on track and to guard our hearts and to be more wise in your decision makings, because once you make a wrong turn, honey, you can't back up down that road. You got to go forward on that wrong road that you chose, And so I'm just making a couple of pointers, and I'm probably missing out on a few things too, because I don't make notes. I just say, I'll go off the top of my head, kind of like a, we call them the freestyle rappers. I freestyle when I do these videos. Sometimes I have a topic in my head and I just let it flow. I flow from my heart. The things that I can remember. Sometimes after I do a video, I'm like, oh girl, you should have said this, you should have said that. I'm just letting you guys know that you probably could think of other reasons why we have this tough skin. But I know growing up in a bad neighborhood with a bunch of bad wolves all around, it's going to make you tough. You're going to get tough. And then you have to learn now how to be gentle when you get a man, because all we seem to do is have to fight. You have to fight for your life, literally. Fight for your protection, for your safety. Then you have to fight to survive. It's always a constant battle, And so you will develop a thick skin. You're not going to be no sweet little gentle flower, because everything is not springtime in your life. It's not. We all have different personalities too. I love to laugh, and I'm a kind-hearted person. I love people. And so these things are a part of my kindness, my kind spirit or whatever. But I have a toughness about me too, just as my husband. And I'm really working on that, because he's not my enemy. He's a good man to me and everything. And so sometimes, because you have had to be a certain way for so long, living where I lived and raising my daughters there, and myself having to be the mama lioness, the mama bear up in there, I had to take on the role of the man, because there was no man in my house, right? So now I have to gain a certain strength and toughness about myself, let people know mama ain't no joke. Don't play with my babies. Also letting my babies know mama ain't no joke. Don't play with me. So you take on the role of a man in a sense, because the man is the disciplinarian. The mother is more the nurturer. But when you have to do both, you forget about the fine line. That fine line is gone. Everything is blurred and put together, And so unless you give your heart to God and become a new person and humble yourself before him and correct a lot of the things that are wrong inside of you, the issues and faults that you have, before you get a spouse, the relationship is not going to be good, because that toughness, we cannot go into a relationship being man-like with a man. We both have our roles to play. And it's a beautiful thing to be a woman, We have to learn how to take advantage of our femininity in the right way. I'm not talking about going around using men. We have to learn how to use our femininity and the power of it for good, and we have to change our ways. See yourself and try to do things differently. And when you create habits when you're young, the hardest thing to do is to break them. It is hard. My husband and I talk about it all the time, because he's like, just chill out, you're a little hostile, and I can be sometimes. And then on top of that, I'm going through menopause, y'all. So, menopause ain't fun either. It messes with your mood. You be having mood swings, But it's hard to be comfortable in your femininity when everything that you have to fight for it and struggle for it. So I just want others, because I have a couple of Caucasian subscribers. Thank you for subscribing. I love you. You are people just like me. We're all human beings. Thank you for subscribing and complimenting the videos that you do enjoy. I just want you all to see us in a different light and kind of come to the conclusion that we're not as bad as we're presented by the world, that we have had hardships. And I know a lot of times people say, oh, that's an excuse, but it's not. These things make you who you are. We are who we are because of how we were raised and what we were taught and what we experienced, a combination of all those things, and then our personality. Then the character, because we have to be taught to have good character. And if you don't have that, my gosh, you're going to get a explosive person. I'm telling you, life is difficult for everybody. Sometimes people have money and they still have issues. Just because somebody have money and they're educated doesn't mean they don't have issues. Everybody, if you're walking on two legs on planet Earth, everybody has issues. But we have to learn how to better ourselves and get along with one another. And if we want a man, we have to soften. We have to get soft and sweet. Nobody wants a rough and tough, loudmouth, vulgar, disrespectful woman. Know this and work on yourself and stop looking for a husband until you find yourself, that sweet, gentle woman that's inside. Find her first so that you can make a good spouse. All right, family, I am done. I hope something I said in this video made sense to you, and that I think we should all learn to try to understand one another so that we can kind of see each other through loving eyes and not so much wanting to be overly critical of a person, because people are experiencing some serious abuse and maltreatment, and they have an angry outlook about the world. People are angry and bitter and sad inside, depressed and filled with anxiety. And so I try to remember that sometime when I come across somebody who's not acting so nice. I automatically at first I'll be like, what's her problem? And I start getting an attitude myself. I don't like rudeness, so that kind of stirs me up. But I have to learn that don't let somebody else change your mood. Don't ever give people power like that. And you don't know what somebody else is going through. People are going through hell. And sometimes they just couldn't hold it in, and you happen to cross their path and they just blew up on you. I'm not saying it's right, because it's not. I don't believe in have somebody pay the price for somebody else's sin, for somebody else's crime. I don't believe in that. But let's just try to chill and lay back a little bit and consider that people are going through stuff. And just let stuff go. Work on ourselves so that we can try to deal with each other as kindly as possible. All right, fam?